I had to run my kids some extra masks. They had a Valentine's party today, and I know what happened. He probably got covered in chocolate, and then his mask got dirty, and he's a neat freak. He can't handle it. So he's like, I'm not wearing this mask, and probably threw it on the ground, God knows what.
I don't know what that's like, but I got all three of my dogs downstairs in the basement, so that's my child life.
Having kids is a lot like having animals, except the kids talk back a lot and try to outsmart you.
Yeah, I've got bulldogs, so they're mouthy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why I had to put them downstairs.
We've got a chocolate lab, and I bought her because I wanted to turn her into a bird dog. But after having her for a little while, I don't think there's any hope for her. I think she's a lost cause.
Yeah, baby dog.
Yeah. So thanks for agreeing to do a podcast.
Yeah, man.
It's been odd connecting with the all women's groups. It's been mixed reviews. I have a hard time getting people to agree to do it. Just because they're all like, well, we want to keep supporting all women stuff, and you're a guy, so we don't really want to talk to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I fish with a lot of dudes, and I hunt with a lot of dudes. So it's not like we hate them. I'm married to one.
Well, to me, it's all about getting the word out about the groups, and I would think that any way you could do that would be, okay.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I had a learning curve. I finally found some women that'll actually talk to me though, so
yeah,
it's all good. Did you grow up in Colorado?
No, I am from Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah, so I learned how to fish from my grandma. Every summer, I'd spend the entire summer pretty much I'm going to call it the family farm. Go out to my aunt's pond and, bass fishing, spinners, bait, just a stick with some rope on it, catfish, crappie, bluegill, which I can't stand. That's how I got hooked, and I was young, really young.
You can't stand bluegill?
No, they hurt. Like they just tear up your hands. I'm cool with bass thumb, but the bluegill, no, I just get them things back in the water.
That's funny. That's me and the guy that usually co-hosts with me. That's our favorite species. We love catching bluegill and crappie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Matter of fact, we love it so much, we're dedicating a whole month to nothing but bluegill. So come March, that's all we're going to talk about.
You can catch all my bluegill for me then. I will send the bluegill vibes your way.
That works. I'll take it. So you said your grandma was responsible for it?
Yeah. She's from Georgia. That's where my accent is from. And she did a lot of raising of me. So, as soon as I could really walk around that pond, I remember one time I got into, it must have been a catfish. She was feeding him dog food. And it's just pulling me around in the John boat, and that was like the coolest thing. I'm screaming. I'm out there alone. She's like, well, she can swim. She's from Texas, spent time in Texas too. So, grandmas, man, they're just like, well, I'm not going to tell your dad. So,
well, my grandma wasn't that way. My grandpa was responsible for getting me outdoors, but it seems to be that's a pretty common theme amongst a lot of women that get outdoors and they're active in it. They've had a female that's led them down the way versus a male.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you don't have like a father figure, grandfather to show you how to hunt or fish, where are you supposed to learn that from? If it's ingrained in you, and like, where are you supposed to go for that? And that's what kind of got me started. I think I didn't really think about why I run Colorado Women on the Fly. And I think it's because I didn't have that here in Colorado. So when we moved here, I live in Black Hawk in a cabin, if you can't tell. And we've got some ponds here in the state park, and my husband and I were out there fishing. And I see this guy, throwing around this line, and I'm like, well, that looks cool. Let me Google that. And so I Google it, and I'm like, okay, I'm down with that, right? So then I Google what a fly shop is. This was, I want to say 5 years ago. And I see that the fly shop has got a women's group, or like a gal trying to do some women's stuff. So I'm like, all right, cool. I go to the women's thing and I am super intimidated, right? Like,
oh, really?
Girls have, yeah, man, like these girls they've got professional photos done. I don't know what the hell waiters are. I've been bass fishing for like 20 years, right? I don't know. It was just scary. It was kind of like seeing a barrel racer in all of her getup, right? Like, it's kind of intimidating. So, and really, the guys at the fly shop, they didn't know how to talk to me, and I honestly didn't know how to talk to them either. You know, like, hey, I have $200. What do I do? You know, and they're like, oh, you need to go to Walmart. You know, like,
dude, really?
I mean, it's like $200 isn't going to get you much at a fly shop. So, I did like a lot of YouTubing and got on the Facebook fly fishing groups, and is also more intimidation. Like, there's a lot of bullying that goes on in fly fishing, right? It's kind of, can I cuss on here?
Go ahead, I don't care. I can bleep it later.
Cool. It's not good. So that's also intimidating. Like, what's a red, and why are these people yelling at other people? Like, now I'm even more intimidated. So that's how I kind of got started. It was a lot of intimidation. And then I had a buddy fly. My husband's buddy flew in. He knows I'm into fishing, and we booked a guide together. The guide was super, super nice. His name was Colin, out of Colorado Angler, up in Summit County. And what I think got me hooked into fly fishing is, I was like, what are you tying on there? And where are the biggest fish in Colorado, do you think? Because we're catching these little, tiny things, and I'm used to like hanging a bass, right? So he picks up this rock and he takes this caddis off of it, and he shows it, like, squeeze this bright green bug out of it. And I was like, whoa, cool. Okay, now I get it. Like, you want to match it. He showed me the bug and he showed me the caddis, and we caught fish, and he showed me how to handle them and why it's important to handle them a certain way and keep them in the water and all of that. He let me try his different fly rods, and he told me my cast sucked and this is how to make it better. Like, I was like, he must have like women in his life, which I feel is really important, that taught him how to talk to us a certain way. But anyways, so that's kind of how I got started. I definitely would recommend, if anyone that wants to get into fly fishing, hire a guide, figure out where you want to go, what you want your experience to be like, and go hire one. If you want to go fish at Decker's, Levi Lambert's your dude. If you want to go float to Colorado, call up Zeke and Frisco at Trouts. Like, if you want to go on a crappie fishing, bass fishing, give Brad P Outdoors a call. Like, that's your man for that. There's so many guys that have different specialties that you got to really know what you're looking for, and you've got to do some type of research before you go. You can't just, willy-nilly go hook a fish in the mouth and not know why.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. So I moved from Ohio, and I've did some fly fishing out there, but we always caught, rock bass, panfish. They're relatively easy fish to catch. And I thought, oh heck, those skills will transfer over to catching trout pretty easily.
No.
Wrong answer. So I am intimidated by fly fishing as well. I think fly fishing has that stigma of elitism, kind of like same way with archery hunting. You've got some guys that will absolutely look at you if you don't have the best high-end rods and reels, if you're not all decked out with your lanyard and all your tackle boxes and stuff. Yeah, they might not be judging me, but in my mind, they're going, "Oh, this guy."
They're judging you.
Yeah. Thanks. And that's kind of kept me off some of the rivers around here, because I'm pretty close to the Pooter and the Big Thompson, and they're pretty good rivers from what I hear. But I don't want to go out there and make myself look like an idiot. And I know it's going to happen. What is it?
You've got to. I mean, I feel you on the pretentiousness. And I'm on the board of Colorado Trout Unlimited, and that's one of my objectives, is to bring down that pretentiousness, because a lot of people aren't like that. And I purposely throw out there that it's just shenanigans out there. You know, you don't need all the best gear. You can go on Facebook and the Facebook Marketplace and buy a decent rod, you know, to get started. There's plenty of them out for sale. So,
especially around here where it's such a prevalent activity.
Yeah.
Are fly anglers a lot like bow hunters in that respect? They're always upgrading their rods and getting the newest models, or do they find one and stick with it?
I feel like people are sentimental. You know, I've got a rod, a Cerebella rod that I had it, a little emblem done on it that kind of reminds me of my grandma. That people talk shit on it. I love it. I caught a carp on it by accident, but I'd been chasing carp for a while. I don't care what people say about it. I love that rod, and it is purple, and I got a big fat purple reel on it, and it is fun.
It's funny you mentioned purple because I've talked to a couple of other female anglers, and that's one of their big beefs with the outdoor companies. They want people to start marketing more to women, and she said the best way to do that is through collar. And she was a big purple freak. She's like, I'm waiting right now on a purple reel to come in.
Oh, yeah, the flag rods are cool. Hunting gear, I'm like, I don't want hot pink. Like, I have enough trouble finding turkeys. I don't need them to find me first, you know? Like, and I listened to your turkey situation, dude. Mine's pretty rough too. But again, like, you just try and make it not intimidating.
Yeah.
And so I actually wasn't on Instagram when I started fly fishing. And that's pretty much how I've developed Colorado Women on the Fly, is via social media. So one of my girlfriends, she saw on Facebook, I've been camping and fishing and just, I don't know, getting outside. And the main driver, I believe, was I'd been approached by women that had been sexually assaulted because they moved here. They immediately get on Tinder to meet people. And the real purpose that they moved here was to get in the mountains and get outside. What are you doing on Tinder, you know? They've had miscarriages. They're getting divorced. They're going through a really hard time, and they just want to get outside. So my friend created this Instagram for me, which is Bigfoot Wrangler, which is hilarious. I'm 5 foot nothing, but I'm super loud, so it kind of makes sense. But she created that, and like one of my objectives is to get more, not really just women, but millennials into fly fishing. And it doesn't, like, I don't match. I'm not wearing like the coolest gear. Plus, there's like not a lot of gear out there for women that, you know, cool shirts and hats and stuff. Or they're pink. You know, I'm not down with the pink phase. But if I'm doing a fly fishing like story, like if you watch my stories, they're usually pretty hilarious and bring down the intimidation level. And people comment on them a lot because, you know, it's like, we did a road trip to Wyoming and Montana this year, and when Kayla just straight murdered this robin on the highway, you know, that's definitely going on there. Like, we're not elitist over here. We're just hanging out and having a good time, and like that happened. So I would capture that. We fall in the river all the time. We re-rig wrong all the time. Like, I'm no professional.
It's funny. You told me you're a bad millennial and that you don't know how to use technology.
Yeah.
But here you are. You know,
at 34, learning how to use Instagram. Yeah. I learned how to use Google Drive yesterday. Like, I had a YouTube how to do that.
Oh wow! How'd that make you feel?
I feel better today. I can survive in the woods, you know, for a while, but you know, you put me in front of an iPad, and I'm on the struggle bus, man. But that's okay.
Well, that's interesting. I had a conversation with a guy about a week ago, and he was talking. He's an educator, so he was talking about some of the things that he does to make sure that kids get outside. And one of the things they did was they went to this ranch without cell phone service, and they made all the kids just go sit down somewhere without a phone. And he said that one small experience has impacted those kids for the rest of their lives. You know, they still remember it. And what you're doing it sounds pretty similar. You're just trying to, while it's technology driven, you're just trying to get people outdoors.
Just trying to get them outside. And this year's been crazy. So I'm not about reinventing the wheel. So when I decided to get this women's group together, because honestly, it would have been a whole lot easier to come into a non-intimidating women's group that didn't look like a clique, that isn't only catching giant fish. It would have been a lot easier to learn with them, knowing that they're probably like-minded. I have no idea, what I'm doing, compared to the journey that I did take. Now, I absolutely love all the people that helped me learn how to fly fish, and they took the time to do that. But I think I've made it a lot easier, a lot more welcoming, by creating, I didn't create Colorado Women on the Fly. It already existed.
Mm-hmm.
I just contacted the administrators, who didn't really look like they were doing anything. I was like, hey, can I take this over? And they were like, yeah, sure, run with it. Like, I've had kids, I can't get out as much, and go for it. So I just reshare fly shop classes, reshare YouTube videos. I reshare pictures of other women catching fish.
Yeah, I noticed that. Hannah, the redheaded angler.
Oh, yeah.
She was one of the first people I ever talked to on the podcast.
Really?
So,
She's
yeah.
Yeah, I like her a lot. I love what she's doing with kids getting outdoors too.
Absolutely. So. It's neat because you have compiled this little cast of cool characters that really epitomize like the self-confidence and just getting out, and no matter what happens, you guys are having fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it didn't start that way, when probably in 2018 was a pretty rough year in trying to get that rolling. I took a truckload of girls almost every weekend for free out to some public fishing spots, and in the first 30 minutes they'd get on their fish, and it'd be like they got their picture for the gram, right? And then they'd be like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, oh, there's like 7 more hours of daylight. So
you're in this for the long haul.
Yeah. Like, I drove 2.5 hours out here to Eagle. So you can sit in the truck, but I got the keys. So, I'll see you when it starts getting too cold.
Instagram's a funny thing because it connects people like us that want to talk about it and enjoy it. But it also is this hub for people that just want that shot and the like.
Yeah.
For you,
it takes a while to kind of smell those people out too, to figure out like what are they about, not that I hate on anyone repping a company or anything like that, but I'm over here repping conservation organizations, and I kind of feel like that's why I don't get bullied too much. I definitely still get bullied on social media, and I just swipe delete. What are you doing? Like, get off me.
You get bullied? How?
Oh yeah. Just mean comments or messages all the time. But, then I post a picture of my giant marine looking husband, and I'm like, if you can come find me.
Yeah, come get some.
So you just have to have your confidence about you. And when I do pre-COVID, when going fishing somewhere, if there's 10 girls on the river, usually we don't get bullied. But do I get high hold and low hold? Oh, on the other side of the river all the time. But if I'm there with a dude, that doesn't happen.
High hold and low hold. You're going to have to help me out with some terminology. Is that someone casting above you and below you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or they cross the river. They're like, I'm good over here. And I'm like, I'm trying to like enjoy the outdoors over here. So, and especially Cheeseman Canyon right now. I actually was trying to look up how much money has gone into Cheeseman Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call it the $1 billion fishery if I can. It's a tailwater. It's getting pounded right now. It's gorgeous through there. The fishing's really difficult. And Hannah and I went, and we had 3 dudes move in across from us, 2 below us, and one on the other side. And it was just like, this is insane. So, but back to the Colorado Women on the Fly thing.
Yeah. Well, no, it's important to talk about. I mean, that's something that needs to be addressed, obviously.
Yeah, and I joined a women's fly fishing club here in Colorado before getting this up and rolling, which it's not a real club. Like, there's no membership. It's not an LLC at this point. It's free. It's affordable. if you have the internet or a cell phone, which I feel is really important to try and make fly fishing affordable. But, I showed up to their event. I don't know who's in my group. I'm at a public camping spot and there's no cell phone service. That was a bad experience I don't know why I stuck around for 5 years, but I did meet a lot of really great ladies through that group. This year, I'm not going to continue to participate, but they're welcome to participate in the Colorado Women on the Fly stuff. But what I found was women don't really care to go to a fly shop or a seminar to listen to a streamer or a nymphing or a how to rig or how to tie knots situation. They really just want to know other women like them. Does that make sense?
Networking.
And they're terrified to go into a fly shop and kind of do that. So I think what I'm starting to put together is events for this year. I held a trash pickup. We did tailgate and trash pickup. That's super not intimidating. We're not even fishing. But can you talk about fishing? Sure. Can you find your fishing buddy there? Absolutely. Can you drink a beer and high five people? Well, air five people? Absolutely. And that's not intimidating. I held it out at Chatfield. People just kind of ignore Chatfield. Like fly fishermen are like, oh, that's not in the mountains. That's where I caught my carp, man. Like, that's cool. Like, you try and catch a carp. There's a lot of different ways to get involved that you don't have to be a professional you don't even have to fly fish. And you can get involved in a lot of the nonprofits around here, which I'm a huge proponent of. The boards are older. They're looking for people to pass on their positions to. And TU looks like an old white dudes club, right? And they want to change that. And you can either choose to continue to hate them or you can try and make a difference. I high five or air five or social media five the people that are trying to make a difference in changing what it looks like. So my chapter, the West Denver TU chapter, is holding an Unwaste Your Watershed, and it's so easy to get involved and go pick up trash, For the Denver Trout Unlimited group, they have a fundraiser called the Carp Slam. You do have to know how to fly fish to participate in that. You get paired up with pretty much a professional guide, and you raise money, and you go fly fish for carp, which is incredibly hard. Back in Missouri, those boys, they're shooting them with 22s, carp, whatever. Yeah. So, and they're disgusting. Like, your hands reek afterwards. But it is a challenge, and it's hilarious.
I don't know. Can you see comments on the side of your screen?
Nope.
Oh, you can't see any? Okay. My co-host is talking shit about how I can't catch a carp on the fly. That's going to be that's my goal this year.
We were fishing for smallies, Brittany and I just saw this thing at Chatfield, and I'm like, oh, look, a carp. Because I had done the carp slam and we didn't catch anything. I'm awful. Clearly I have a giant ego about carp fishing. And next thing you know, I'm hooked into this thing, and we're going on this ride. So, and we got it to the net, which that's a whole different, situation. But that's a great fundraiser to get involved in and meet a lot of new awesome people. The Denver TU board is cool. They're big high fivers, and they really want more people to come in onto their board that look different from them. So I'm big on that. I'm big on the Colorado Wildlife Council. They've got a new position, not a new position, but an opening position for the West Slope angler. I am the East Slope angler. And they're just trying to educate any kind of person why we like to fish, not necessarily fly fish.
Right.
That's a great organization to get involved. There's tons of them to get involved in. But
do you find that it's hard to get millennials to try it, or do you find it harder to get them to keep doing outdoor activities, whether it's picking up garbage, hunting, fishing, anything?
I think that from my experience, it's not hard to get them to start, but why they're doing it is completely different. Instagram has changed fly fishing. You can do it all year round. I know that I hang out with some girls that, they're fishing for some dude, really, and then they get that dude, and then I don't see him again, and they break up with that dude, or that dude breaks up with them, then all of a sudden they're back. And I'm like, wait, you didn't fish the entire time? No, like this is not what it's about, I don't see a problem. Back to the haters. I don't see a problem with the grip and grins. People hate on that. I do see a problem when you're kind of trying to get that fish into the net and you're not holding it in the water. As soon as you get it to the net, like it's trying to breathe. Right. I see a bigger problem with that. But am I going to say anything? No. Do I hate on people? I don't even know how a lot of people know that trout are being taken off their beds, their spawning beds. You see a lot of that hate on Instagram and social media. I don't know how unless eggs are pouring out of them. Like, so if you're hating on them, what are you doing? Like, a lot of people just don't know, I really feel like no one would intentionally do that. But I put out plenty of information about, hey, this is what a red looks like. This is why we don't fish to them. I can do that. But I'm not going to bully someone because, like, why would you bully someone that just got started? Clearly. But if, they want to have their giant brown trout on Instagram, maybe that's different. But I just have never really seen significant proof of it, if that makes sense.
Sure. And the thing that's odd about it is you don't know how, say if someone does a grip and grin, you don't really know how long that fish has been out of the water. Mm-hmm. It could have been in the water, picture, back in the water.
Yep.
You see a lot of that in the hunting too. A lot of people hate on grip and grins. If there's a little bit of blood in the shot, or if they took the picture after they gutted it, and it's like, oh, dude, that's not professional. You're not respecting the animal.
You know what? It's not hanging out of the back of a pickup truck. Antlers hanging out, dripping blood down the side of it, going down the highway. So
it's out in the woods. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah. And maybe they use a private guide, whatever. Like, Colorado, you kind of have to do that. Sure. Which goes back to some events that I'm going to try and put on this year, hopefully. So I co-founded a company called Rare Waters. Mm-hmm. And so I hand out private fly fishing leases to my favorite people, landowners and cattle rangers. And we've got places all the way from Montana, come the spring, from Montana down to Colorado. And I'm going to hold women's events where you have cell phone service. You walk in and have an idea of who the ladies are that are joining you. Mm-hmm. It's not a guided trip because, a lot of people can't afford those, especially now. Those can be upward. And Steamboat is like $1,000 for a day.
Whoa.
I'd rather kind of dirt bag it a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Those are probably more of my kind of people than paying $1,000. I can't even imagine the pressure that those guides must feel they paid $1,000. They better catch a fish and you better get an amazing picture of it. I couldn't do that. I could not do that. But I am kind of envisioning, a free camping situation. It's going to cost a couple $100, obviously, because I've got to pay the landowner the rod fees.
Right.
But, you don't meet up whenever you want. Everyone is right there. You can camp, you can stay in a hotel, you can do whatever you want, but everyone is right there. And you can't find that. And that's kind of what I feel like a lot of people want. I can't put on social media where I'm going to be unless it's like Deckers or Pueblo, at the bridge or something like that, because it's just too hard to meet up and it can be really stressful, if that makes sense.
Sure, I get it. We've been trying to organize, virtual hikes and trying to get people to meet up with us to hike, and it's a nightmare. I mean, for one, getting people to respond, whether they're going to show up or not, for me is a big deal. And then just all the questions. Where's it going to be? What time is it? What do I need to bring? Blah, 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 blah. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that kind of event will attract all different kind of levels of people that can fish, because there's a lot of people moving here from Minnesota too. Like, they know how to fish, right? Mm-hmm. They're usually pretty dialed in, even if it's their first time fly fishing. Like, they know how to roll.
Right.
And then there's people that I'm like, especially some of these nurses, man, they just want to get out and meet people. They're nurses that, travel nurses. They moved here to experience Colorado, and then this hits.
It's bad.
It's bad. And they need that mental getting out. And the difference between, I think, I've had to think about this a lot. I'm not good at that. The main difference between, using a bobber and a worm or a spinner compared to fly fishing is like, it's just a different connection with nature. Just like calling in that turkey, or I've never called in an elk before, but I've definitely heard them in my neighborhood. And, that's a big animal to try and call in, but
dude, they're huge.
It's just a different connection with nature that once you've experienced it, like you're hooked. You're like, okay, I'm going to get out there with this truck full of girls and I'm going to figure out there's 100 different ways to fish too. Like, I don't know why people get so upset about, you're doing it wrong. If you're catching fish, whatever, and you're not snagging them, whatever. I'm pretty laid back about that kind of thing, but really just that connection with nature that keeps them hooked, keeps them going. And then at those kind of events, if these girls are building relationships, at the trash pickup, at hopefully a public water event that I can put on, since I'm a huge proponent of public water, and then these really intimate camping trips where I'm probably going to be drinking wine out of a box in my same coffee mug, that I had that morning. I'll wash it out. But, I think that will come in giant waves for a lot of ladies, especially some of these frontline workers and teachers that they just need to get out and they don't know anyone. They just moved here. And they're really looking for more like-minded people that honestly aren't pretentious. Like, I really haven't met too many pretentious fly anglers, even in the TU chapters.
I think what's interesting about what you're doing, especially with any women's group, it feels like there's a lot of crossover. So Rocky Mountain sportswomen, Wild Women Outdoors, you guys, you all really support each other.
Oh yeah. I feel like I have a puzzle piece that I'm just going to place right into them, because I've got all these ladies. I'm pretty focused on the fly fishing aspect. I've got all these ladies. I got into duck hunting. This was my second season, and it's just another different connection with nature. And maybe some like Jamie did it when she was younger, and just having other ladies to go out with. Like, I'm with her, man. I would never go alone. Plus that's scary. It's dark. But having like a group of girls to just laugh about whatever in the duck blind, that's a good Sunday morning. And then, be having drinks by noon. Like, I'm about that.
I'm a little jealous because I don't feel like men have the equivalent. It's always ball busting and, chirping at each other
and trying to weigh them out. Yeah. Whatever.
it happens, and we like to think that we support each other. Oh, you shoot an animal, I'll help you pack it out. That's very few and far between that I've experienced. And that's one of the things that intimidated me most about coming out here. One, the mountains are huge. They're scary to get in. And I was out there by myself.
You should see what comes across my driveway.
No.
Man. Yeah.
Mountain lions?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Those are terrifying. They scare me the most. My deer season, the chipmunk climbed up a tree at like 3 a.m, and I thought it was a mountain lion. I thought I was dead.
Yeah.
But, with women's groups, you guys are you're all in, and you don't really, the objective isn't to, like you said, catch fish, shoot animals. The objective is to be together, share experiences, and have fun.
Yeah. And we're all from different places. So, that's pretty cool. When we did our road trip this summer, we connected with a girl that I met on social media. I pretty much met all my really good fishing friends on social media. She's from Montana, and she came down and met us in Wyoming. It was like Disney World in Thermopolis, Wyoming. I stayed at Two Rivers Inn. They float us down the Bighorn. We can shoot ducks. There's no one out there. We can shoot ducks. We can catch 20-inch fish. They're stupid fish too. And you go in fall, yeah, like I said, no one is out there. Or you can not shoot ducks, but 3 chicks on a boat and a guy, this poor dude rowing, like he's the coolest cat on that river that day. And I hope to do more of that. A couple of girls and I are going back in May with hopefully with turkey tags. Cause I lost a mallard up on an island on the, Bighorn. And if you'd watch my turkey shenanigans, because I try and make it not intimidating. And I learned everything online. A lot of it was CPW stuff. I injured this mallard and I went to go look for it because it took off, skedaddling on this river. And I had previously only been finding like maybe 5 turkeys and they'd run onto private. I crawl up on this island, like under the bushes and stuff. And there's between 50 and 70 turkeys just staring at me. I'm coming back for them. I hope if I get a tag, I know exactly where they are. And I mean, I thought like, this is it. I'd rather go by mountain lion, but if I go by 50 to 70 turkeys, that's not very, it's not very prestigious of me, but we hope to go. And if we don't get a turkey, whatever, that place is awesome.
Yeah.
They have the world's biggest hot springs too. Yeah.
And this is Thermopolis, you said?
Yeah, Thermopolis, Wyoming. And another thing I don't like is people like, oh, don't tell anyone about this. They need the money. Like, they need the money. The guys need the money. The motels need the money. There's a lot of girls up in Montana and Wyoming that don't have girl gangs. So I'm more than happy to drive up there where there's no one compared to being low hold, high hold, across the river hold here in Colorado. So, and the fish are huge.
Yeah. And a lot less pressure. Are they easier to catch or harder to catch?
Now, they're really hard to get to the net, though. I actually just came off of having tendonitis since September from trying to get the fish. I want to tell you that if I caught 2 or 3 fish there, I lost 20.
Wow. It's
brutal. If you don't know how to handle big fish, it'll eat you alive in your nightmares. But if you go with the right people, then it could be a lot of fun.
No. When you first started or picked up Colorado Women on the Fly and you had women starting to come in and go fishing with you, what were some of the questions and concerns that some of those new people had? What were they scared of? What did they not know how to do? What did you have to help them with?
First things first is, dang, these waders don't fit. I look like a little dude, so I don't really have that problem. But, there's some curvy girls out there. And it is really hard to find waders. Simms does a great job of trying to appeal to that, and you can have them custom made. $700 later, yeah, you've got a perfect pair of fitting waders. That's number one, just having the gear. But honestly, you could have a fanny pack. You could have, your Reddington. I have a Reddington rod that I've broken. I don't know how many times. They keep fixing it. I just let my husband uses that rod because he doesn't like to, he's not a big angler. So I'm like, here you go. And please don't ask me how much my favorite rod is. But those are the gears, number one. And then number 2 is, hey, will you take me? And that's a huge ask. Hey, will you take me fly fishing for free? That's a $500 day. And once again, it's like, well, what have you done? Like, what's your intention? What are you after? I've gotten smarter about asking questions just because of all the really bad experiences I've had. It's like, wait, so you're not going to give me gas money, and you didn't bring lunch, and you're not going to buy my lunch, and you just drank all my beer? Cool. Yeah, no, like, you're out. Or the next weekend, you see them and their friends out at the spot that you took them to. The same bridge in the background, when you're like, hey, this is like a guide's area. I've been eaten by that too. Like, this is where the guides come with the newbies to catch fish. That's why I'm here. Don't post this all over, and I'll be damned. They're there for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and it's all over Instagram, and I feel bad. So now I'm smarter. But now I have access to private water too. So kind of like, you lost your choice there. You made that. You buried yourself in that.
Wow. whenever you take women out, after you kind of get a feel for them, do you offer to outfit them, or do they have to bring some basic things with them?
Oh, they have to bring everything. I'm not a guide.
Okay.
I'm not a guide. I can't handle that pressure. But if they're gonna have a good time, if they want to have a good time and have like, if they've done some research, I'm totally into it. You know, I'm like, this is why I use red under or in a tailwater. I mainly fish perdigones because my buddy was like, Kreider, you got to start fishing perdigones. And I was like, you know, what is that? So I don't know everything. Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, there goes $150. And now it's like all I use. So, and they work. Oh, is that like a secret? Whatever. So just telling them why I'm fishing what, I think that is the main thing. And then turning over rocks. One of my girlfriends, Annie, she will spend a solid 15, 20 minutes just checking rocks, sanding the water. And like, I've learned from that. I'm like, oh, I would never have fished that. Like, I think I have something in my box that kind of looks like this. So that's been a cool experience too. And, everyone's really different, but that group has grown from 150 girls to now there's almost 700.
Whoa.
So, and it's private now because we had an instance on the water where the authorities had to be called.
Oh.
So, women can feel more confident, but men are welcome to join that group if they offer a service to us. You know, so the fly shop owners, the social media fly shop dudes, they're in there. The guides that I have personally fished with that I love, that I would recommend, they're in there. If anyone that needs business or does fly fishing art or sells nets or rods, whatever, go for it, man. I love entrepreneurs. So, and if they want to take girls out, great, because there's a lot of dudes out there that won't, and shame on you.
Missing a big opportunity.
Yeah. We're a lot of fun.
And you're willing to learn too. I feel like women have a much higher odd of listening, and from the people I've talked to anyway, they crave that knowledge. They don't want to be talked down to and belittled. They want to know why you're doing something and how it works.
Yeah, I know that my buddies will tell you I'm not a good listener. I have to do it the Kreider way, but usually their way is correct. But I will like that knowledge is definitely something that I crave. And then I go home and like research the crap out of it. See, I'm trying to mute myself there.
Appreciate it. I've got the bleep button queued up whenever I go to edit this. You'll be fine.
COVID times, man. I haven't been out in public in a long time. But no, just YouTubing and doing research, Matching the Hatch magazine. They've got online classes. I don't think they're free anymore, and I don't think that they should be either. The Flycast USA guys, like they tell you where to fish, what day of the week to go. If the water clarity is going to be bad, like they downgrade the number of stars. Like that's awesome. So
the number of resources out there are huge. I mean, if you want to find information, it's there. A lot of people just don't want to do it.
Because that's a lot easier than me getting, 50 text messages from girls on Thursday afternoon saying, hey, where should I go this weekend? And I'm like, ooh. So that Facebook group, you should ask them. Or I'll start reposting the Flycast stuff, because then that's one less thing that I really have to do, because I'm busy too, I'm not unreachable, but do I want to take out a whole bunch of new anglers and take that money from guides? Absolutely not. We need those guides. I want to fish too, Right.
You've mentioned conservation a few times. Are you involved in any conservation groups?
Yeah, Colorado Trout Unlimited. I'm on the board there. So I'm a director at large. So what that means is I don't have to go to any meetings, I think.
Lazy.
I know. But I have 3 projects that I'm working on. Obviously, fundraising. I've talked a lot about fundraising. And then board succession planning. So just trying to get more people on the board. So some of those guys that are retired and have been retired and they just like to talk about fishing. We need their knowledge, but they're looking for us to give it to and take over. So people say, oh, my chapter's board's full. No, it's not. Don't give me that. So so that's two, and then see, board succession planning, fundraising, and just really getting more millennials outside, which is why I had to learn how to use social media work correctly. I'm getting better at the hashtag situation. I had to Google that too. But usually it's like inside joke hashtags. Now I'm getting better. And then the Colorado Wildlife Council. That's a conservation organization talking about where the hell does this money come from to support the state park.
Right. Compared to coming from out east in Ohio, it seems like Colorado really has it dialed in with trying to make sure those resources stay sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to the NWTF guy, and he mentioned, what was it, the Rocky Mountain something initiative, basically just pouring a bunch of money into habitat reclamation and making sure that it's suitable for, turkey, elk, grouse, all that stuff.
Which is awesome. They don't have that in Missouri that I can recall. You buy your $10, $15 fishing license and,
I was trying to I was trying to explain the fishing and hunting regs to some of my people back home because they want to come out and do a pronghorn hunt. And I was like, well, here's what you have to do if you want to hunt. And they're like, oh my God, how much does it cost to hunt elk? Well, it's another whatever dollars. It's crazy, but they do that for a reason. And it's obviously successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also after a pronghorn, and I'm starting to realize that I don't totally understand the point system, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to realize there's probably a 0 chance that I will draw. And so I'm going to have to buy a landowner tag, which fortunately I'm in the situation where I know a lot of landowners with tags. Now, are they not handing them out to veterans? That's a different situation.
Right.
But I'll find a new girl gang that potentially wants to go do that.
Yeah.
But even like back to the women's thing, even finding another gal to help sight in your rifle that's roughly 10 feet off to the top and to the left because you put the scope on wrong. That can be that's a tough situation for us too.
Yeah.
But you put it on social media and all of a sudden people pop up like, hey, I'm the game warden's daughter out up north and I'll take you anytime. Like, oh, sweet. I had no idea. Like, who are you? So it's just trying to give back because you don't want to ask for something that, that's a huge value. You don't just want to be asking for hundreds of dollars in services. Colorado does great conservation. There's thousands of conservation organizations. I bet there's probably a new conservation organization coming up every week because some, they just don't align with, what one person wants to do. But hunting out here, it's really tough. I live in 2 national forests, and these dang turkeys, man, they just rule me. But
let's be okay. You brought them up. Let's go ahead and talk about turkey for just a minute. I'm about sick of talking about them. I had myself talked out of turkey hunting. I told my neighbor, I said, nope, not doing it. I'm not hunting this year.
You're back.
I'm back. And I'm going to blame it on I can only blame it on myself because we're doing a whole April turkey month. So I'm getting all these turkey guys lined up. And I'm like, yeah, I can go out and shoot a turkey. Screw those birds. They're stupid.
I know. They're just giant wood chickens that are impossible to find. But I did get a little hen last fall, so I was pretty excited about that. But I literally had to run and gun it down, and I was after it, So, and it was on public land, and I learned all of that via CPW and YouTube. So, and there was no guide, and there was no pin, but I did know where they were because I was duck hunting in the area, so I knew where this was. But scouting is super important. But I'm sure your turkey camp is going to be great, but our girl gang turkey camp is going to be awesome.
Mine's going to be shit. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to be garbage.
Ours is going to be a lot of fun, and it will be shenanigans, and none of us are professionals at it. Jamie and Elena, they're killers, man. They'll find them. They'll get them.
Oh, they're tough.
Yeah. I am like a little joke over here, compared to them, but it's so much fun and it's not intimidating, and they're very open and welcome to it. So,
are you planning on any other big game hunts? We've already started talking about it. Might as well flesh it out.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I'm going to pull some deer tags. I know my neighbors, like I almost hit them weekly, going across my neighbor's place. That'll be a mule deer. And I'm out east a lot working with ranchers. So if I can get a whitetail tag off of one of them or draw one, if I feel like I've done enough proper research and my shot is good enough, then I'm 100% in. And like Jamie was talking about, I'm not sure I could get it in the back of the truck, but you know, my husband, I think I could talk him into getting in the truck at 4 or 5 a.m., driving a couple hours out east, and then shooting it myself, and then gutting it, because my degree's in sustainable beef and dairy, so I've gutted thousands of animals.
Okay.
And then come back and be like, "Hey, got it! Like it's over here. Come get it." You know, like because
so he's not an outdoorsman.
It's huge. Just trying to get it is intimidating. Try to pack it. Can I get an elk? That's super intimidating. You know. But no, Dustin doesn't hunt. He doesn't, that's not his thing. He shreds on the guitar. I don't ask him how much his guitars are, and I don't tell him how much my flat rods are. And I don't have to buy 2 fancy flat rods. I get to buy 1. So I pretty much feel like I got it all figured out.
Nice.
And we've been together for 12 years. So he kind of knew I was crazy going into it. He had plenty of time to figure that out.
It's his fault now.
It's kind of crazy he can handle, I think. And he's it took me 7 years, but he's now trained to cook at my house because I was never really here with my previous career. So I think he's really enjoyed, like, we both love goose.
Okay.
I don't know why. We did get one bad one when I shot it up in the mountains in Lake George, but pretty much all of them, like, if you're a good cook, they're pretty good. I actually like them more than ducks, but it gives him something different to like work with.
Right.
So I'm really excited about the pronghorn. I'm actually more worried about the meat spoiling before I can get it from, you know, Sterling all the way back up to Blackhawk, and hanging it. But I don't know. We'll see. If you follow me on Instagram, there will be shenanigans.
Well, I am definitely going to follow your turkey shenanigans because I'm going to start posting some of my own as well.
Yeah, and the fishing is gonna be great. You know, I finally got out there after waterfowl season ended, and I've caught a couple.
You're doing better than me. I haven't caught any, so I'm waiting for open water and things to warm up so I can get my kayak out.
Oh yeah.
Start slinging some bass baits because I'm going to catch a few bass, get fired up real quick.
That's my favorite.
Erin, is there anything else you'd like to add to kind of tidy things up with a nice little bow?
I think if you know any chicks that want to meet other cool chicks that aren't cliquey and are pretty laid back, find that Colorado Women on the Fly on Facebook and Instagram, or Rocky Mountain Sportsmen. If you just want to get outside, like they're going to do some shed hunting, I believe. Cool. Like that's a hike, you know? And you get to just connect with nature differently and learn more about those animals and conservation and all the work that Colorado puts into all of that. So that's huge. And honestly, like, what else are you doing? You know, watching Netflix. Great. Cool. Now the Office isn't on Netflix anymore. What are people doing?
That's a good point. That it's not. Do you guys take donations?
No, it's not like a real Colorado Women on the Fly isn't a thing yet. Like it's not, it's just a group, but Rocky Mountain Sportswomen is, and they have a lot of cool stuff coming up, and I'm going to be helping them with fly fishing stuff, and they're going to be getting donations from my business too, as we do some of these girl gang fishing trips. So donate to them. They're awesome. They're about it. They're the real deal. There's a lot of people that aren't, but they are.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all I've got for the day. I've got to go pick up some kids from school. So
all right, Zach. Good luck with that chocolate situation.
A lot of OxyClean and getting stains out. That's all it's going to be all evening. Erin, appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.